Hi there everyone, today we're going to look at drawing scatter graphs. Alright, so scatter graphs are a way of representing data where you've just got a bunch of kind of answers and we're trying to see if there's a correlation or something that matches the two variables that we're kind of looking at. Alright, so scatter graph is compared to two variables which I've mentioned, and one variable goes on the x-axis while the other one of course goes on the y-axis. Alright, they are plotted like normal coordinates. And it's only at the end that we try and determine whether or not there is any kind of pattern. All right, so if we're asked to plot a scatter graph of age against height, so here's an example of a bunch of information, then we are literally going to plot these coordinates. All right, so age is going to go probably on the bottom, and then the height is going to be on the x-axis, on the y-axis. All right, so one or the other. All right, it tends to be time on the bottom, so age tends to stick with that really well. All right, so here we go. So you've got 0 to 25, and then of course you've got along the top height. All right, this little squiggle here, which if you're not quite sure what that means, is because I'm not going from 0 to 100 all the way to the top. What I'm doing is I've cut my graph off a little bit, so I need to explain that I've cut my little graph off with a little squiggle, and I'm going to start pretty much at 100 because there's nothing underneath 100 whatsoever. But obviously I cannot just ignore the fact there's nothing 100, so I have to kind of represent it to suggest that I'm just focused on the bit that's above. Okay, hence that little line there. So we're going to plot them. So let's start with the first one, 802. Well, 8 is roughly there, so 102 is going to be around about there. Okay, so that's the first one. And then you've got 2600 to 26, and then it's 170, so that's going to be all the way over there, like that. And then you've got 1750. So 17 and then 150, which is going to go there, like that, and so on and so on and so on. So I'm going to skip through the rest relatively quickly. You can see what's kind of going on. And I think that's the lot. All right, so we've plotted them all. All right, so just be careful in terms of plotting the coordinates the right way around. That's the kind of key thing. Obviously, if you follow your axes correctly, that's going to be your x's. They're going to be your y's. So it should be a problem. And of course, we're now trying to determine if there's a correlation. See if there's a pattern that's involved, and that's kind of the idea of it to start with, and hopefully you can see what well, looks like there is one. Now, I'm not going to draw a line of best fit at this particular point, because that's another lesson. Of course, you could now consider whether or not to draw a line of best fit in relation to that. All right, but that's not this lesson, that's another lesson. So please look at line of best fit if you want to look at that. All right, we are looking at interpreting them. All right, so interpreting the scatter graph. And the way we talk about it, the way I kind of mentioned it, is that we're trying to determine, so here's one we've currently got, we're trying to determine, you know, what information we've got and what we can glean from it. All right, so what is the weight of the lightest dog? Well, the lightest dog is this one. All right, so the weight of the lightest dog is, well, let's look at the numbers here. So 0, 4, 8, so it's going to be 4, isn't it? 4 kilograms. There we go, so that one, 4 kilograms. And what is the height of the tallest dog? Well, the height of the tallest dog is just going to be this one up here, so it looks like it's going to be 55, that one there. And then what is the height of the dog which weighs 36 kilograms? So the height of the dog which weighs 36, so it weighs 36, so that's this one here, so that must be that one, and therefore it must be 45 centimeters. All right, let's find it, and there you go, 45 centimeters tall. So just using it, all right, interpreting it, trying to find the information from it. All right, this is the bit where we're kind of getting to, and we're talking about correlation. I said I've mentioned it a couple of times. Correlation describes a linear relationship between two variables. So it's either going to be positive, i.e. goes up together, or negative, that means one goes up, one goes down. All right, so here we go. Positive correlation, one variable increases, so the other, and negative, as one variable increases, the other decreases. That's what I've just kind of said. It can be described as strong or weak. So if it's very, very close to what looks like a line, then you'd argue it's a strong correlation. If it's a little bit all over the place, then I suppose you can still say it's correlated, but not so strongly, so maybe you class it as weak. All right. If you can't identify it, then you would say no correlation to it. All right. So let's have a look at this one. Well, this one is very, very close to a line going straight up. So you'd argue it's a strong correlation, a strong positive correlation. Okay. This one, I think you would agree that it is going up, but maybe not as strong as the previous one. So we'll just call it a positive one, but maybe a weak one. All right, because it's not quite as clear cut, is it? This one, well, it's strong, but it's going down. So as one goes up, the other one goes down. So that's a strong negative correlation. This one over here, well, I suppose it kind of goes without saying, it's a weak negative correlation. And then this one, well, they're just absolutely all over the place, and there's no clear guidance as to if it goes up or down. I mean, I suppose you could argue it goes in that direction, or it goes in that direction. But then I suppose you can't really tell. There's no correlation to that one at all. All right, so we just don't bother. And then with this one, well, it looks like there's a pattern, agreed. And I suppose you could argue for this half of the graph, it is positively correlated, and this half of the graph, it is negatively correlated. But when we're talking about a linear relationship, well, clearly this one doesn't have a linear relationship, is it? It takes a kind of quadratic shape. All right, so if we're talking correlation, it has to be a straight line. So this one also has no correlation. All right. Okay. Well, that's it in a nutshell. So obviously, scatter graphs, you need to plot them. You then may need to be asked about the correlation between the two. And if you are asked to kind of do a line of best fit, then there is another lesson on that one. So please visit that one. Okay. All right. Well, that's it in terms of scatter graphs for me for now. All right, so if you need to practice on it, please visit maths-school.co.uk. Obviously, the website address is underneath. But for me, for now, that's it. All right, thanks for listening.